Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live stream. It's for the Daily Musings Chess Camp. I'm going to go ahead and just set up right now. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and set up a position, everyone. Let's start out with an interesting position. So I'm going to, okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live stream. I am gonna wait till I'll wait till 2 p.m. I'll wait for more people to show up. If you have any questions, feel free to just write something in the chat box. Okay. Oh, let me go ahead and oh wait, no, that was by accident. I want to share my screen again. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live stream. I am going to go ahead and wait a couple minutes because officially I am on at 2 p.m. Right now, I'm just busy, just setting up. So please just be patient. Today is going to be very fun. Okay, let me go ahead and okay. Hope that everyone is having a great day. We'll start like in a couple of minutes. It is 1:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'll just give you guys a couple more minutes to um, come in. So this is going to be my first position, and it is black to move. So you guys may want to think about what to do as black, and black is going this way. So you gotta think about what to do. Okay, you guys, it's officially 2 p.m. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If you don't know who I am, my name is Lauren Goodkind. I was on the live stream yesterday, and I'm gonna be teaching you guys some awesome stuff today. And this is going to be the first position. It is black to move. Um, so if we take a look at this, this pawn wants to promote on G1, but the pawn cannot promote because of this queen. This queen is pinning the pawn to the king. So what should black do in this position? If you guys have any ideas, feel free to write it in the chat box. So, when I talk about chat box, I'm talking about my YouTube channel because I am also streaming this on Twitch, but I don't see the Twitch chat box. So if you can type something in the YouTube channel chat box, then I would greatly appreciate it. So some people might think like, hey, we want to yeah, we want to promote this pawn to a queen. So oftentimes what people might do is they might want to move this king here. And that's very interesting. If the king goes here, then, this I mean, yeah, the queen can go to C7 and check, but it's not the most effective way. So let's go back for a second. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the question is like, what is Black's best move right now? Okay, so we can promote this pawn to a queen if this queen was not pinning the pawn to the king. The best move is to move the queen over to c5, and then you might be thinking, "Well, this is a dumb move. I mean, this looks like a really crazy move, and it looks like a crazy move, but we gotta think about this. This queen is checking the king, and it's also attacking the queen on c6, and you might be saying, "Yeah, but the black queen is not protected." But if you think about it, if the queen takes the queen on c5, then notice that the king and queen, they're all on the same line. And because of that, this queen, it's not pinning the pawn anymore. So therefore, this pawn can just get a queen. So again, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to write something in the YouTube chat box so I can see it. So if you just joined, the question is, it is back to move, and we want to promote this pawn to a queen, but we cannot do that right now because this queen is pinning the pawn to the king. And I was telling everyone the best move is to move the queen over to c5 because the queen is checking the king and attacking the queen at the same time. Um, and this is the most craziest looking move, but again, if you think about it, if this queen takes the queen, this queen is not pinning this pawn to the king anymore. The king and queen, they're on the same diagonal, and therefore the pawn can successfully promote to a queen. The king and the queen, they're on the same diagonal, so this is a skewer. And once this king gets out of check, well, guess what? The queen can simply just capture the queen. So this is a very beautiful puzzle. And then you might be asking, well, what happens if, okay, so once the queen goes to c5 and it checks the king and attacks the queen at the same time, what happens if the king just gets out of check? Then that means that this queen can simply just take the queen. So this is a very nice puzzle. So this is why sometimes you want to think out of the box. So that's great. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I think it would be good to um, um, try it. I will show you guys another puzzle. And this puzzle, you have to think out of the box. And just to let you guys know, after this puzzle, I'm gonna show you some more king and knight um techniques because I taught you guys that yesterday. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and flip this around. And this position is very, very interesting, but this is going to be a very good puzzle because you have to think out of the box. Um, there's many ways to win right now, but, so this is it. Um, so in this position, it is, white to move, and it's actually a checkmate in 2. So there's many ways we can do it, but do you guys see the checkmate in 2 right now? And then if you wanna accomplish a checkmate in 2, you need to think out of the box. So you have to I'll give you guys some time to think about it, and again, if you have any questions, feel free to write something, in the YouTube chat box so I can read it. Um, so I'll give you guys time. Just to let you guys know, white is going this way, and notice that white has a queen and a king. Notice this king that king is here. There's also a knight here. So do you guys have an idea, where to move? So the most obvious move maybe is to promote to capture the knight with the pawn. And then this wins, of course, but it's not a checkmate until. So I'm looking for a checkmate right now. Okay. Um so Never Sleep says queen to h4. I'm assuming you meant to say queen to h5. Queen goes to h5. And then if that happens, then I can move the knight over here. And then the pawn can go here, but this is actually not checkmate because I can go here. So I'm looking for a checkmate into right now. So let's try that again. This queen to h5, it is a good try, but it does not quite work. I mean, again, it does win. I mean, but I'm looking for a checkmate into. So we gotta do something different right now. Um, so I'll give you guys some time to think about it. It's not queen to h5. So Madavi says knight f 8. Okay, so you want to promote the pawn to a knight. Okay, so we'll promote the pawn to a knight. And this is a good try because if you promote the pawn to a knight, then that means this queen, you're threatening checkmate by moving the queen to h7. So that's great. But black can actually stop this checkmate by moving the knight over to f6. So now if the knight goes to f6, it is protecting the h7 square. And of course, this is not checkmate because the knight can just take it. So I think that knight to f8, I think it's a good try, but it doesn't work right now. So let's try this again. It's a checkmate in 2. And again, we gotta kind of have to think out of the box. So, do you guys want to do you want me to give you guys a hint? Or just think about it. It's a checkmate into. So just to let you guys know, we did try queen to h5. That doesn't work. We did try promoting the pawn to a knight. That does not work too. So we gotta do something else. So Madavi says queen to h5. But this does not quite work again because the knight can go here. And then if the pawn promotes, this is still winning. Just by the way, it's just gonna take longer to checkmate, but the king can just go here. So we're gonna go back for a second. Let's go back for a second. So the other idea is you can just promote the pawn to a queen, but with this move, this is a problem because um this queen, it is pinning the knight to this king, and therefore, if you think about it, this is stalemate. So promoting the pawn to a queen does not work. So how can we accomplish a checkmate in 2, everyone? So we gotta do something. So So I'm gonna let you guys know we like moving this pawn, that's out of the question. Moving this king is out of the question. We did try. Okay, so Never Sleep says promote to bishop, and let's see what happens. We're gonna promote this pawn to a bishop, and um, White is threatening checkmate by moving the queen over to g7. That's checkmate, everyone. And if we think about it, let's see. This king cannot go to h7. The only piece that the black can move to is to move the knight. And if you think about it, we can't move this knight, so it will protect the g7 pawn. So let's just simply just move the knight over here, and then that's a checkmate. So that's how you do checkmate in two, everyone. So I hope you guys enjoyed this puzzle. Um, you have to think out of the box a little bit, because most of the time you think about promoting the pawn to a queen, and usually, like in most positions, promoting a pawn to a queen is a good move, but in other special positions, you may want to promote the pawn to a rook or a bishop or a knight. So you gotta just remember that you can promote the pawn to other pieces except for a queen, right? So let's move on. And what I'm gonna do is, yesterday I did teach you how to checkmate with the knight and the bishop, but I didn't get through everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. We're gonna just do a review right now. So yesterday I taught you guys how to do this. I'm gonna have a review, and then I'm gonna cover more of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and oh wait. Yeah, this is good. Okay. So as a review, you have to remember is, if you have a white square bishop, you want to force the king on a white square corner. So this king can go to A8, or the king can go to H1. But in this position, we gotta force the king over to A8. So I'm gonna make this quick. Um, the first thing we gotta do is we gotta force the king over to E8. And as a review, we're gonna simply just move the bishop to H7, because this bishop is controlling the G8 square. And then black's only move is to move the king to E8. And then now you have to remember, if the king and the knight, if they're one square diagonal from each other, it's time to move the knight. And you have to remember, when you move the knight, it moves in a W shape. That's very, very important. So I'm going to go ahead and move the knight over here. And if the king goes this way, then we're going to simply just move the knight to D7 to check the king. Black's only move is to go king to E8. The king is attacking the knight, and we're going to simply just move the king over to E6 so it can protect the knight. Notice that Black's only move is to move the king over to D8. Notice the king cannot go to F8 because of this knight. So Black's only move is to go here. And remember, since the king and knight, since they're on the same line, it's time to move this bishop. If you move the knight to C5, it's too early. So we're going to go ahead and move the bishop. Notice this king can go to E8. So we're going to simply just move the bishop to G6. Yeah, we gotta just force, yeah, we're gonna make forcing moves. Yeah, that's correct. And then, oh wait, you know what? I made a mistake right now. Instead of moving the bishop to G6, notice this king can go to C7. So we're gonna simply just move the king over to D6, and then the king is controlling these squares. So if the king goes to E8, we're gonna go ahead and move the bishop to G6. And notice again, Black's king cannot escape. The only move is to move the king over to D8. So that's good. And then what we're gonna do now is we just do a waiting move, and we have to move the bishop. So when you do a waiting move, it's always with the bishop, and we want to move the bishop so it can still control the e8 square. So we can move the bishop over to f7 or h5. So I'm going to go ahead and then go here. And then black's only move is to go king to c8. And then if you notice now, the king and knight, they're one square diagonal from each other. And that means it's time to move the knight back to like c5, right? So that's good. Um, let's say that the king goes to d8, and then again, what we're going to do is we're going to simply just move the knight over to b7. So remember, it's the W shape. Knight to b7. King only move is to go c8. The king is attacking the knight, and because of that, we're going to simply just move the king over here. And then let's say that the king, actually, the king's only move is to go b8. And then again, we don't want this king to escape. The king can escape to a7. And because of that, we're going to simply just move the king to b6. So this king is controlling the a7 square. Black's king can try to escape by moving the king to c8, but because of that, so what happens if king to b8? We'll get, hold on for a second. Okay, so the king, I don't know, but the king goes to b8, and again, if that happens, then we simply just move the king over to b6. If the king goes to c8, then we simply just move the bishop to g4, and then again, this king cannot escape to these squares thanks to the knight and the bishop and the king. So king goes to b8. And then now what we want to do is we can simply just move the king back to c5. And then black's only move is to move the king to a8. And then now we have to be careful because black's king is in the corner and we got to be careful about stalemate. So if we move the knight over to a6, then that's going to be a bad idea because this is going to be stalemate. The king is not in check and black has no legal moves. So knight to a6 is a mistake. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply just do a waiting move. And again, if you want to do a waiting move, you just simply just move the bishop. But when you move the bishop, you simply need to um, um, the bishop needs to control the c8 square. So we can simply just move the bishop over to e6. And then black's only move is king to b8. And then it's a checkmate in two. Um, so I hope you guys see the checkmate in two. We're gonna simply just move the knight over to a6. It checks the king, and then black's only move is to go king to a8. And then I hope you guys see the checkmate. Do you guys see the checkmate? It is simply just moving the bishop to d5, and then that's a checkmate. So this is what I taught you yesterday. So this was just a review. So right now I'm going to go ahead and cover what to do if the king goes the other way. So in this position, um, I taught you that if the king and the knight, if they're one square diagonal, then you simply just move the knight over to e5. So now you know that if the king goes to f8, then we simply just move the knight over to d7. But now what I'm going to talk about is what happens if the king goes to d8. So I'm gonna give you guys some time to think about what to do. So what should white do in this position right now? Because clearly this king is trying to escape right now. So what should white do now? Do you guys have any idea? Any idea what should white do? So this is tricky because you know this king doesn't want to this black king doesn't want to be on the edge. This king wants to just escape. So what should white do? Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys the answer. What we're gonna simply do is we're gonna simply just move the king over to e6. And with this move, the king is controlling the square. So that's good. And now the king is going to try to escape with um, king to c7. And then now what should white do now? Any idea? Any idea? Don't be shy. Just simply, if you have an idea, simply just write something in the chat box so I can read it. Don't be shy. So Never Sleep says king to b5. Um, king can't go to b5, but maybe you meant to say king to d5. Um, that's a yeah, king to d5. This is a good try. It's actually not the case. All we're gonna do is, remember I told you about the knight? The knight goes in a W shape. So we're gonna simply just move the knight over to d7. So remember, it's just a W shape. So knight goes right. Okay. Okay. So Madavi, you said knight to c4. This is an interesting move, but the problem with this move is remember the knight it goes in a W shape. So if the knight goes to c4, then we're not making a W. So we're gonna simply just move the knight back to d7. And then now the king is gonna try to escape with king to c7. And um, if we notice right now, we are controlling these squares right here. And what do you think we should do as white? So if you notice right now, this king is trying to escape to b5. So how do we what do you think we should do? We don't want the king to escape to b5. What do we do? Any idea? Feel free to just write something in the chat box. So we don't right now, so we're controlling these squares, but we don't want the king to go to b5. Okay, so Never Sleep says bishop to um okay, the bishop can't go to d4, or it can't go this is bishop to d5. The bishop can't go to d5 right now. So maybe you were trying to say maybe bishop to e4. If we go bishop to e4, this doesn't quite work because then the king can escape, right? What we're trying to do is we're gonna force this king over to a8 right now. So Never Sleep says bishop to d3, and that's absolutely correct. We're going to go ahead and go bishop to d3. And the reason why this makes sense is because this bishop is controlling the b5 square. So that means this king cannot go to b5. And notice that this king only has two moves. It can go to c7 or b7. So let's say that the king goes to c7. What do we do now? What do we do now? So I'm going to give you guys a hint. The king can escape to c6. So how do we stop the king from going to c6 right now? So notice that this king cannot go to b6 because of this knight. So, Never Sleep says bishop to e4, and then that's correct. Bishop goes to e4, and then notice this bishop, it is controlling the c6 square right now. It's also this bishop is also controlling these squares. This knight is controlling the b6 square, so that means this king cannot escape. So that's very great. So let us simply just move the king over here, and then again, the king can try to escape to c7, and then again, if you have been paying attention to what I've been saying earlier today and yesterday, we're going to simply just move the king over to d6 because it stops the king from going to c7. So if king, so let's say the king goes here, what we're going to simply just do is we're going to simply just move the knight back here because again the king and knight, they're one square diagonal from each other, so we move here, and then again I told you what to do. If the king goes to d8, we simply just move the knight here, but again, what happens if the king goes to b8? What do we do now? So what do we do now? So this king is controlling these squares, so that's good. So what happens if we move? What happens if that king goes to b8? What do we do? So Madavi says bishop to f5. Um, yeah, I think that you could do that. Because it stops. Um, yeah, you could. I think you could go bishop to f5. Um, yeah, you could go bishop to f5. I think that's fine. Um, yeah, you can also again just simply bishop to f5, and then the king goes here, and then what we gotta simply just do is we can move the king over here. So yeah, that works, but I want to go back for a second. Um, we can simply just move the king over um to c6, and then if the king does go to a7, well, that's okay. We need to make a wall so this king cannot escape. So of course, moving this knight, that would be bad because the knight is controlling the a6 square. So we're gonna simply just move the bishop, and we can move the bishop over to f5, because the bishop is controlling the c8 square. So let's say that the king goes to a8. If that's the case, we're going to simply just move the king over to b6. And then Zach's only move is to go king to b8. And then if you have been listening to what I've been saying, I think you do recognize this pattern. We're going to simply just move the knight over to a6. The knight is checking the king. Notice this king cannot go to c8 thanks to this bishop. So the king has to go to a8, and then we can deliver checkmate by moving the bishop to e4. Yes, exactly. So that this is a checkmate. But this is just so that you know, not a lot of people know how to checkmate with a knight and a bishop. So I'm gonna just do a review. So let's go back for a second because I want to make sure that you guys get it. So again, I told you guys what to do if the king goes to f8. Yesterday I said like the knight goes to d7, but remember, if the king goes to d8, then you simply just move the king to e6. So the king is controlling these squares, and then again, if the king tries to run away, with by moving the king to c7, then we simply still move the knight um to d7. Okay, so remember, with the knight, it's a W shape. That's very, very important. So knight goes to d7, and then again, when we move the knight to d7, it's controlling b6 and c5 squares, so that's very important. If Black's king tries to escape with king to c7, c6 right now, um, notice this king can go to b5 to try to escape. And then, but notice that, we are controlling um, these squares. And to stop this king from going to b5, we simply just move the king, I'm sorry, we simply just move the bishop to d3. And then when we do this, then the bishop is controlling the b5 square. So that means this king cannot escape, right? Because we're controlling all of these squares. If the king goes to b7, then we're going to simply just move the king over to d6, because if you notice right now, both kings are pretty far away from each other. We want to move the king closer to Black's king. So we go king to d6, but notice, we're making a fortress right here. This king cannot go to the sixth rank. So let's say, again, let's say that the king goes to a7. We're going to simply just move the king to c6. We're going to just move our king closer to Black's king. And then Black's only move is to go there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move the knight back over here. So that's very, very important. Um, if the if the king tries to go here and tries to escape, and then again, we're gonna have to simply just move this bishop. And then we can move the bishop to f5 because it is controlling the c8 square. So let's say that the king goes to a8. And of course, in this position, the king cannot go to a6. But notice that if we do move the knight, then that's not going to be good, because then the king can go to a6. So what we're going to do is we have to make a waiting move. And when you do a waiting move, you want to move the bishop. But when you move the bishop, make sure it controls the c8 square, so the king cannot escape on c8. So we can move the bishop here, 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 or here. So I'm going to simply just move the bishop to h3. And then let's say that the king goes to a8. And then again, we need to still make like a fortress. We don't want the king to go to a7. We gotta just simply just move the king to b6. And then now the king is controlling these squares. Black's only move is king to b8. And then notice that um, our pieces are all working together. So that's very, very, very important. Um, so we're going to simply just move the knight over to a6. King's the only move for the king is to go to a8, and then we simply just move the bishop to g2, and then that's a checkmate. So I hope that you guys found this to be helpful. And again, if you have any questions, just feel free to write something in the chat box so I can read it. But my recommendation is perhaps you can practice this at home. So so perhaps like you can set this position up on the computer, and then you can practice it. So I hope this helps. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to another puzzle, and I think this is going to be good. And maybe, do you guys want another end game? Do you guys want to learn another end game position? What do you guys want to learn? Do you guys want a puzzle, or do you guys want me to teach you another end game? It's up to you. Okay, so I'm still waiting. I'm gonna give you guys a I can give you yeah, so do you guys want another end game position? Oh, teach another end game. Okay. I will give you guys a I'll give you guys a I'll give you guys a crazy puzzle. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go to new analysis right now. Okay, so JJ says end game. Um, okay. Oh, okay, so this is what I'll do because Never Sleep said puzzle. So I'm gonna give you guys a puzzle, and then after I give you guys a puzzle, then I'll teach you guys another in game. Okay? Does that sound good? Okay, so then we go ahead and set up a puzzle. And so let me set this up. Okay, here we go. So this is going, I hope that you guys will like this puzzle. This is going to be fun. Okay, so this bishop is here. This bishop is here. And then white's queen is on c7, everyone. Um, so in this position, this is a very interesting position. It is white to move right now. And the question is, what should white do in this position? So this is very interesting because if you think about it right now, this bishop, and then this king, they're on the same diagonal. Also notice that this queen and then this bishop, notice they're on the same diagonal too. So this is a very interesting position, everyone. So what should white do? So okay, so Never Sleep says bishop takes bishop. um, yeah, I mean, you could do that, but Black's queen can just take it back, and then the Black queen is checking the king, and this can get pretty crazy right now. So let's go back for a second. Let's go back for a second. So we don't want to capture the bishop right now. We want to do something else. So this is a very interesting position because this bishop, it's technically pinning the bishop to the king right now. So what should white do in this position? Okay, so Madavi says queen to a5. Okay. Yeah, this is interesting. Queen goes to a5. It is checking the king, and then the king can go here, but um we can do something better than that. Okay. I mean, the queen can go here, but the king can go here. I think we can do something better. Okay, so let's go back. Let's do a good try. We want to do something else. We want to do something else right now. So given of just notice this bishop is pinned. So if you notice, I'll give you guys a hint. This bishop cannot leave this long diagonal thanks to this bishop, because this bishop is pinning this bishop to the king. So that means that this bishop, it cannot go to these squares. So what should I do right now? Okay, and Never Sleep says queen to h7, and this is the correct move. Yep, and this move, it looks kind of crazy, but this is actually the correct move, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, as I told you before, this bishop on e4, it cannot capture the queen, because if the bishop does take it, well, guess what? Or a bishop on g2 will be checking the king on a8. So that's not going to work. Now, if you really think about it right now, is now we're threatening to capture this bishop. And, you know, And then you might be saying like, "Oh yeah, but the bishop on G2 is hanging." But if you really think about it, if this bishop takes the our bishop on G2, well, guess what? Now we can simply just take Black's queen on B1, and this should be a win for White. So I hope that you guys found this puzzle to be fun. This is a very interesting puzzle. Um, so in this position, like, you wanna, like yeah, you wanna just kinda think out of the box. I mean, you wanna consider, like, all of the captures, but if you have time to think about it, you want to, try to see if you could find the winning line. So yeah, bishop so queen to h7, this is the winning move. And then again, as a friendly reminder, this bishop on e4 cannot capture the queen because this bishop is pinning the bishop to, the king. So, um, yes, exactly. So, I yeah, so I hope that you found this. I hope you guys enjoyed that puzzle. And what I'm gonna do now is you guys asked for another in-game position, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys an in-game position. So let me go ahead and set up another position. So yesterday I taught you how to win in a position. Um I taught you guys how to do this position. So that was very important. So the next position I'm gonna teach you is I'm gonna keep things simple. Is we're gonna um teach you how to this position. So this is another in-game position I can teach you guys. This is very, very important. It's essential. So it is white to move. And what should white do? We can um we can just be straightforward. We can simply just move the pawn. Um yeah, we can just move the king over. No, let's move the pawn to g6. And then, the king goes here, and then again, we have to, be careful because again, if well, actually, no, 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 there's actually a couple ways we can win right now. I see that. Okay, you guys, it's white to move. What would you guys do as white? What would you guys do for white? We have to be, careful right now. Okay, so Never Sleep says king to, f5. Um Yes, we can go king to, f5, definitely, and if we go king to f5, then, the king, can go to, g6. So I noticed that JJ News says, pawn to h6. Yep, that's correct, but I wanna talk about, king to f5 first. Um, so king Okay, so the king goes to g8, and then we can simply just move the pawn to h6. The king goes here, and then um, let's say that we move the king to f6. Again, our objective is to promote one of our pawns to a queen successfully. The king goes here, and then what do we do to win? What do we do? So there's actually, I mean, there's two ways we can win in this position. So we can definitely move the pawn to h7, or Never Sleep says h7. Yeah, we can go pawn to h7, and then that checks the king. Just to let you know, moving the pawn to g7, this also wins too. But if we go h7, that's perfectly fine. And then of course, um the king is going to go to h8, because again, if that king goes to f8, then this pawn is going to become a queen. So obviously the king is going to go to h8. And now what do we do? Because we have to be very, very careful right now, because again, if we move the king over to f7, then that's gonna be stalemate. So when Davi says knight to I'm sorry, king goes to G5, um, no, well, if we go okay, so let's see. G7, no, actually, we can go, pawn to G7. Um, yeah, so again, there's many ways to win right now. Pawn goes to G7, that's perfectly fine, and you might be saying, "Yeah, but then black can capture, the pawn on H7." But that's okay, we just want to promote at least one queen, right? We don't need 2 queens, we just wanna successfully promote 1 pawn to a queen. So king goes to H7, and then what do we do now? What do we do now? Because is it a good idea for us to promote the pawn right now? No, that wouldn't be good. If we promote the pawn to a queen right now, the king is simply gonna take it. So we have to go king to F7 right now. And again, this is very, very important because it's protecting the pawn on G7 and it's also controlling the G8 square. So king to F7 is very good. Notice that black's only move is king to H6, and then we can simply just promote the pawn to a queen, and then the king only move is to go h5, and then now it is a checkmate in 2. So how can we checkmate black in 2 moves right now? Any idea? So how do we checkmate black in 2 moves? That's my question. So, JJ Liu says queen to G3 and then G6. So that's correct. Many people think that queen to G6 might be good, or some people might say king to F6 is good, but to right, so king to F6, it is good. It's a good move, but it's not the fastest way to checkmate black. So the correct move is we need to force this king over to h6. So to do that, we're going to simply just move the queen over to g3. And then with this move, if you notice, this queen is controlling the h4 square, and then this queen is still controlling these squares. So that means that black's only move is to go king to h6. So that's great. We want to make we got to force the black king to go closer to our king. And then JJ Liu says queen to g6, and that's a checkmate. But I'm just saying, it's like if you're playing this position out, you can still simply just move the king to f6, but this just takes much longer to win. So this is still perfectly fine. Um so if you do that, that's perfectly fine. But I'm just saying is um this is the quickest way to win. That's all I'm saying right now. Okay, so I'm gonna go back because I know that some people had some questions, and what was it? It was okay, so king goes here. Oh, wait, hold on for a second. Um so in this position, um we can get fancy right now, and we can actually, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that right now. What are we doing? Okay. So we know what to do if the pawn goes to h7, but my question is, what happens if we go pawn to g7? What do we do now? So what do we do? Actually, it's black's move. Okay, black's only move is to go king to h7. Okay, what do we do? Okay, so Madavi says king to h um Um, right, so it's, king to f7, king goes to f7, and the reason why this is the winning move, again, is because this king controls the queening square, which is g8, and the king is also protecting the pawn on, g7, and um, Black's only move is to take the pawn on h6. We don't care about the pawn on h6. So Black's king takes it, and then we can successfully just promote the pawn to a queen, and then that's how we win. So as a recap, to win, you simply just move up the pawns. It doesn't matter like which pawn you move up. Um, so, all right, let's say that the pawn goes to h6, king goes here, and then this is another question. What should we do in this position? So this is another line that we have not explored. So if king goes to h7, what do we do? Any idea? Okay, so Never Sleep says, oh, okay, so some people say king goes to f6. Yep, we can definitely do that. So the thing with king to f7 is if yeah, I would go king to f6 right now. If the king goes to f7, notice that black's only move is king to h8. And then if we do move the pawn to g6, notice that this is stalemate. So because of that, I do prefer um, king to f6 right now. So this king can move to g8. So we can move the king over to g8, and then now we can safely just move this pawn up to g6. And then of course, black doesn't want this pawn to promote. So black's king is going to um go to h7, and then again, okay, so again, um yeah, we can't go pawn to h7, because if we do that, then that's going to be stalemate. So we can simply just move the pawn to g7 right now. Now let's say that the king goes to g8. What do we do to win right now? Because again, we have to be very careful right now, because again, if we go king to g6, then this is going to be stalemate again. So we don't want to go king to g6. What do we do right now? H7. Um, maybe that's never mind. What do we do right now? H7. Yeah, we can. Yeah, definitely. We just move the pawn to h7. Black's only move is to take the pawn, and then white's king goes here. Again, this is the key move because the king is protecting the pawn and also the queen is square too. So black's only move is to go here, and then now we can successfully promote this pawn to a queen. Um, so that's great. And so you guys just remember what to do. Remember how to do this. This is actually a very common end game. So just remember how to do it. Maybe my suggestion is to set up this position like on the computer and then just play it out. But some people don't know how to play it, and it's like you can easily get stalemate. So just remember to practice that. That's very, very important. So tomorrow, what I'm going to teach you is I'm going to teach you guys another end game that involves a rook, and that's going to be exciting. I'll give you guys some more puzzles. So that I think that would be great. Um, so let's see. Gonna give you guys another puzzle. No, I'm gonna save the other puzzles for tomorrow, everyone. Um, So I think we're good. If you guys do you guys have any more questions about this right now? Okay. Um, yeah. So just remember, I can give you guys another like tip. Just remember is, if you wanna if you wanna promote a if you want to promote the pawn to a queen, you gotta make sure that you move the king and control the queening square, and then the square in front of this pawn. Um, so that's actually very, very important. Some people might tend to move the pawn to e7, and this is a mistake because if you do move pawn to e7, then the king can go to e8, and then notice that if the white king goes to e6, then that's going to be stalemate. Let's see what David says. It says that did you get to learn the queen and rook endgame? It's a win for the side with the queen, but so far I have been trouble with that endgame while practicing. It's harder than the knight and bishop mate. Um, yes, I can. Yeah, I can probably um teach you guys the queen and rook endgame. Um, yeah, maybe like yeah, to a certain extent, I can do that. So just remember, again, as a recap, is if you want to promote the pawn to queen, make sure you move the king so the king is controlling the queening square and then the square in front of this pawn. So that's very important. I'll give you guys another tip right now is if we have a position, have you guys seen this position before? Okay, I'm just going on and on. But if you have a position like this, in order to successfully promote this pawn to a queen, this king needs to go to d7 or f7 to win. So, okay, you guys, I hope that you found my lecture to be helpful, and my recommendation is to just set up the positions that I taught you, just practice it. JJ says, "Put your king in front of the pawn." Yeah. You wanna yeah, I'll teach you guys this end game tomorrow, but you wanna simply just move the king in front of the pawn to win. Because a lot of beginners, they tend to move the pawn here, but this is a big mistake. So I'll teach you guys this end game yes, opposition. So I'll teach you guys this tomorrow. So you guys I hope you guys are having a fun time at summer camp, and I will see you guys tomorrow from 2 to 3 Pacific standard time. And you guys okay, so I'm gonna sign off. So you guys goodbye and see you guys later.